In Cabala and the Western tradition, the many different names of God are formulas that connect one with the specific intelligence and vibrations of that aspect of the divine mind within you. This is one reason we have different meanings for all the different names of God or aspects of the All, the Allah, from the highest Godhead to the archangels, down throughout all vibratory levels of being, like great transformers of power from a great star or, say, a nuclear plant, to step down transformer power stations, then to power lines, to the circuit breakers, and finally down to the outlets within your home, so that the power is accessible and distributed in ways that are safe and useful. Each sphere on the tree of life has a specific God name, a specific archangel name, an order of angels, etc., all specific to and that rule and comprise that aspect of the one in each sphere or sephirot on the tree of life. Contemplation of the Hebrew letters themselves with sustained attention is highly effective in connecting one to that aspect of the divine within. Using the Hebrew letters only is typically done in more traditional forms of the Judaic Cabala, although there are different sects and branches throughout. The Western mystery tradition is an amalgamation and an evolutionary synthesis of many streams of the old mystery schools and ageless wisdom. The Western tradition combines the tattvas of Hinduism, the Egyptian mysteries, Hermeticism, the Platonic solids, and more Greco-Roman mysteries, the wisdom of the Gnostics, the Abrahamic mysteries, including Sufism, the mystical branches of Islam, Arabic, Hebrew, and the Christian mysteries. These stem from even older streams culminated within the Book of Wisdom, which most today know as the Tarot. And this system is still evolving. So to be most simple, if you want to connect with an aspect of the divine in the Western tradition, one potent practice is to lay out the Hebrew letters that form that name, word, or formula with the corresponding tarot keys. Just simply placing these keys before you, before your vision, and contemplating them in the Kabbalistic names will connect you to that aspect of the divine within, to a living inner experience, not a concept or words in a book. This is the path of gnosis. This is why Kabbalah can only be received, because these levels of being transcend the ordinary mundane mind and intellect, but they may be received and integrated over time, allowing us to come to know ourself and our Creator more intimately through real inner experience. This is the heart of mysticism, so we can know for ourselves One might think of the keys and their formulas as the URL that is written in the language or code of the subconscious for that specific aspect of the divine. Always remember this. This is an invaluable information for your private work and your private study of Cabala. So we will start here on our last class of the cube of space, the letter Shin. This is the tetragrammaton, which just means four-letter name. So we will look at this great name and formula from a few different perspectives. First, the traditional way is shown here. This is the tetragrammaton spelled out as the yod here, hey, vav, hey. Remember, we're reading right to left. Yod, hey, vav, hey. In modern Hebrew, or Jehovah, or Yahweh. The English transliteration of this God name. This is what it translates to in English. The Yod, all that ever was. The first Hey, all that is now. The next letter Vav is the conjunction and in English. And it connects it to the last Hey, all that ever shall be. So in short, this formula for God means all that ever was, all that is now, and all that ever will be. That's a very potent name for God. Notice how much more this name of the Creator conveys to us than our typical modern use of the generic term God. So here's another way of looking at this formula and this sacred name. In this presentation, this shows us what is sometimes called or referred to as the Adam Kadmon, or primal man, as in the first emanation from the Godhead. What you see here are the four levels of divine being shown as the archetypal man, the Yod He Vav He. Remember, man is made in God's image. Remember, these forms and formulas are sacred, meaning they connect one to the sacred within. They're not just interesting diagrams. The Hebrew letter Shin, our final letter we come to now, will complete our constructing the cube of space. Shin is the letter of the Holy Spirit in Cabala and the mother letter of fire. So look at what happens when we insert the letter of the Holy Spirit, the letter Shin, directly into the center of the tetragrammaton. We get the name Yod He Shin Vav He, or Yeshua, or Yeshua, or our modern translation, Jesus. So looking deeper, we see that the Holy Spirit of fire, Shin, is positioned directly in the middle, and it connects all that was, all that is now. It connects it to all that ever shall be. See the potency and power in the name Yeshua. If we look at it in the manner of Adam Kadmon, here's what we see. So now, remember, this is a formula. And what we see here is the letter of the Holy Spirit directly in the heart of Adam Kadmon. This is the formula name in Cabala and the Western tradition for Yeshua or Jesus. Okay, now for the Book of Wisdom, we're going to briefly look at these formulas and divine names. This is the Tetragrammaton in the Book of Wisdom. Yod, the hermit, He, the emperor, Vav, the teacher, and He, the emperor. The Ancient of Days, all that ever was. The emperor now rules all that is now. And connecting is the great teacher to all that will be. And if we look at the name Yeshua, we see our letter and key for the week centered directly in the Tetragrammaton, the judgment key, Yeshua. Now, note these keys and their positions. And when you have time, reflect on them. Meditation on these tarot keys together connect you to these aspects of the divine within you. It's up to you to place these keys before you and integrate them in this way. It's highly recommended to take only one of these names at a time for deep meditations. These are very powerful formulas connecting to very real living intelligence and power of the divine. Remember, as we reach for the divine reciprocates. Welcome to lesson 24 of the alchemical Cabala, the letter Shin, the perpetual intelligence, mother letter of fire, north-south axis and current of the cube of space. Last week we covered the baptism in the waters of Mem. This week we come now to our final current on the cube of space, the current of Shin, which means fang or tooth. Again, Shin's the mother letter of fire in Hebrew, and the perpetual intelligence, the baptism of fire. In the Western tradition, as stated, this is the key of the Holy Spirit. It has the same numerical value for the Hebrew words Ruach Elohim, which means breath of the mighty ones. Note that the letter Shin has a triple flame. Also, this current on the cube connects the north, the place of the greatest darkness on the cube, to the center face of the sun itself in the south. This current is fitting as our last unfoldment in our immersion, construction, and exploration of the cube of space. So, let's once again read from the Book of Wisdom. Please unmute yourselves one at a time and state what occurs to you in this amazing key.
There's a rebirth. In the lover's key, there's the archangel, the man and the woman. But in this key, there's now a rebirth of a new being, it looks like.
Excellent. And I love your bird.
Oh, they are adorable. Those little hummingbirds are adorable.
It's a very good observation, Doug. On the 3x7 layout, the lover's key initiates this result.
The wings are red energy.
Yes.
And that's different than any other wings we've seen.
Yeah, they're all red. Yep.
And also it seems that there's wavelengths of sound coming out of the trumpet, which I'm sure many of you have had experiences of hearing sounds on the inner plane, and they're magnificent. And that's what that would mean to me. When I had my illumination experience years ago, it wasn't visual as much as aural. And people in the chapel heard it also. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doug.
Yes.
Yeah, there are seven rays coming out of the Archangel Gabriel's trumpet here.
Gabriel.
Yes.
The blue shirt is striking like a jewel tone.
Yeah.
The 12 rays of the sun for the apostles, the astrological signs, and the white all around the angel. And is it Gabriel or?
It is Gabriel, yes.
The announcer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the yellow coming out of the horn. Looks like it's making the newborn's hair illumined with the yellow, as is the woman's.
I'm noticing the water and the waves. I mean, will they look more like frequencies?
Yes. Very nice.
Noticing the mountains are all white. Before they've always been purple or blue or some white tops, but these are all white.
They are all white.
Does this card have a megahertz like 963, I think?
That's a really good question.
It looks like it would,
Yeah.
Is it the God
Yeah.
mega? Yeah.
I find this interesting, what the baby is, or the child is rising out of.
A cube.
A cube.
And then what is this thing in the corner? This
right here?
Yeah.
So the Whom Tarot does a really great job of helping us remember what the letters in Hebrew at the bottom right corner mean, because they will put in the bottom right corner, they put this is a tooth or fang, which is what Shin means. So it helps us remember and associate it. And then it gives the sound, the sh, and the astrological signs. So that's a tooth to answer your question.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is this Shin, did you say?
It is, yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So we have three beings coming out of coffins
Right.
and floating on the water,
Mm.
which is solid enough to hold them.
Right.
And they're all looking to Gabriel.
Yep.
And this appears to be Judgment Day,
Yeah. Right.
because that's the name of the card.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a white cloud surrounding Gabriel, but he's not hidden behind it, as in some of the other cards,
Mm.
where the clouds are in the sky.
Mm.
And it appears that there's something behind them. They're looking straight at him. And the male is supplicating. He's not active. This is a very opposite of what we would think. The woman is active, reaching,
Yes.
and the male has his hands across his heart. So we have opposites going on
Yes.
to their sex, and we have the child going yippee with his
Yeah.
arms in the air. A new world. And the cross, we have the red cross.
Yes.
And white.
Yes.
So the rod and the staff
Mm.
are there, because we have a cross.
And it's in the square. She's
Mhm.
the subconscious. She's receiving a gift from Gabriel.
Yeah.
And it's manifesting, right? In the square.
Mhm. And if you look at their arms, in Latin, it would be lux, L-U-X.
That's correct. It spells light in Latin.
Ah,
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay. So you're going to have a great week with this key. Thank you all. As Margot so astutely pointed out, this does spell light in Latin, L-U-X, and sometimes it's spelled in the Western tradition, just if you see it, L-V-X, because we interchange the letter Vav, it's both a V or a U. But when you see L-U-X or L-V-X in the Western tradition, it's always light. This key is the light itself. If you see the shapes of the arms, the subconscious, the child, and the self, they spell the Latin word for light, lux or LVX. The fire of the Holy Spirit is light. Not a metaphor, not an analogy, real light. The living light, when received, leads to resurrection and liberation from the Western face on the cube of space. Yay. So we are in essence born again within and raised to the higher inner levels of our being by the trumpet blast, signaling the end of time. The end of time is simply the remembering of the eternal self one is. The end of time is simply remembering of the eternal self one is. This is our re-entry into the world of light. As the divine child, we are raised from the coffin of sleep and the third dimensional world. In the most simple of terms, this is your conscious awakening into the inner planes. Oftentimes, this starts off on the tree at the astral level of Yesod, which is the next sphere up from Malkut, the earth. And for many people, it can occur first as lucid dreams or extremely vivid dreams, and then unfolds to higher, deeper levels of the tree. Most specifically, our aim in the West is the sun, or Tiferet, the heart of the tree. Understand the part of you, the perpetual being that you are, that vibrates higher than the vibratory level of fire, is that which remains when you are in the alchemical crucible of fire. This is the burning away of the dross of the soul, so that the light becomes tangible and one perceives the living light that one truly is. This is not a metaphor. This is the Tetragrammaton Elohim, or breath of the mighty ones, and the holy letter Shin. Remember, this is an intelligence beyond comprehension, and yet we are a part of this whole, and it is accessible because you yourself are this eternal sun of light, life, and love. The Bible states that the world would never again be destroyed by water, but by fire. One understanding of this is the fire is the destruction of false self-identifications by the light itself. Imagine being able to retain self-conscious awareness anytime you like. It's said for those who are fully awake that this is a real possibility and reality. So ask yourself this week, as you meditate on this key, what part of your being is perpetual? From the Book of Formation, the 31st path is the perpetual intelligence. But why is it so called? Because it regulates the motions of the sun and moon in their proper order, each in an orbit convenient for it. Alchemy sometimes is called the work of the sun and the moon. This is the Christ, or the self, and the soul. As you are completing your exploration and construction of the cube of space this week, this is now part of you. This seed is a pattern for what is sometimes called the stone of the wise, or the philosopher's stone. And as we are completing the cube, we will now read the word and formula for stone. So throughout this study, we have read the word for father, which is Ab, and we've read the word for son, which is Bin. When we combine these words together into one word, we get this formula, which is the word for stone. So let's please unmute ourselves once more and state what occurs to you in the formula that is stone, where the Father and Son are one.
The fool, spirit, and the magician transition us into God,
Mm,
or something like that.
thank you.
Through alchemy. Right?
Yeah.
Zeros and one are coding.
Hmm?
You add the cards together, you have 0, 1, 13, which is 14, which goes down, added together to 5. And 5 is the Hierophant, the teacher,
Yes.
the hearing within. Because the teacher is within. So you are now accessible to that. That's accessible to you.
Thank you. They also, as you mentioned, first equal 14, which is the Holy Guardian Angel in the Tarot.
Right.
Which, as we know, is the one who's doing all of this work all the time and has us immersing ourselves in this. Okay. All right. So look at where the Fool is looking. It's exactly where the magician is raising the wand of power, which is exactly where the seed of the divine is. Okay? The divine seed. It's white, which we know is the divine self. We start, the very first symbol in tarot is the divine self. It is Keter, the sun. This is your divine self. So in the formula of stone, the divine self in the transition key cuts away all that is not one's pure desire. Only the white rose remains. The white rose is being carried by your true self here as the Fool. Notice there are 12 rays from the divine self in the Fool key, and only 3 of them, 3 rays are nurturing the rose. So that's curious. And now the real question, or another question, is, did the Fool pick this rose from this garden? Or did the Fool plant this rose in this garden? Remember, on the simple tree, Again, the white crown is the divine self. Everything white in tarot is directly connected to the divine self that you are. This is the white rose, and what it shows is the unfoldment of the divine self within and through the desire nature. The white rose is what you truly desire above all else. This is why it's sometimes said, if you really want truth, you must desire it above all else. All else. To attain or come to this realization of self within yourself. And this is one of the imports of the great commandment the master told us was the greatest, that we must love our creator with all our heart, all our mind, and all our soul. This is the desiring of the one above all. Or most simply, holding one desire. That's what the Fool is doing. Only one. It's pure. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. All right, so let's look now at the Fool. We know the dog represents the intellect, and he's our companion here. And he's white, so he's purified. Where is the dog looking?
He's looking up.
Yes, he is looking up. He absolutely is.
And when we say you're looking up, we mean you're looking within.
That's right. Okay. Who will point out exactly where on the Fool we see the letter Shin?
His collar.
No,
that's the
Sheen is down at
tetragrammaton
his
Oh,
skirt.
shoot.
right here, right?
Yeah.
It's right here.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Oh, look at the dog. He's just looking right up there at it, isn't he?
Yeah, that looks about right. Yeah.
Yeah. And the rose too. He's just all and okay. So we see the letter Shin is on the lower back side, the Fool. Right there. And we see all these wheels, right? These ignited wheels of circles just lit up.
Mhm.
Okay. Remember that Shin means tooth or fang, as in the fiery fang of the Kundalini at the base of the spine. Now look at the heart of the Fool. What do you see?
Fire.
Yes.
Heart's on the right side.
Yep. That's okay. How many flames are here in the heart of the Fool?
3.
Yes, there are 3. That's a triple flame in the heart of the Fool.
Those wheels too all have 7 pieces to the pie, which
8.
would be the chakra.
8.
Wouldn't it?
There's
Are there
8.
8? Oh,
Yeah.
darn.
That's okay. That's the number of repetition, right? And
Okay.
strength.
It also represents octaves. And
Yes.
as we ascend, we go up in octaves.
Yes.
Law of
Very
7.
nice.
Yeah.
So in the heart of the Fool, we see the flame of the Holy Spirit. Okay. And on the innermost garment, right at the top of the breast of the Fool, we see the tetragrammaton, Yod He Vav He. So if one remembers oneself, one remembers one has always been, it always is now, and always shall be. Because we are one with our Creator. Remember, you are the fool in tarot. The staff the fool holds is the spine. The white column, the divine self of fire running up it in the center is the Sushumna channel of the spine, where the divine fire rises, illuminating the wheels within and igniting the fire in the heart. The spiritual fire is said to be coiled in the sacrum, which is derived from the word sacred. We're going to repeat this. The Tetragrammaton translate as all that ever was, all that is now, and all that ever will be. It's most interesting how in the Rosary to Mary, the Divine Mother, the Hail Mary is repeated 10 times. 10, not 9, 10, not 11. After saluting the Divine Mother in the Rosary, we know the Divine Mother is the Holy Spirit in the Christian mysteries. So after the 10 Hail Marys are recited, the Rosary then recites what's termed the Glory Bees. And it says, glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, right? Then the Rosary says this, and this is what I want you to see. It says this exactly. Do you see the formula? Does everyone see the formula of the Tetragrammaton in the Rosary? As it was in the beginning, Yod, is now, Hey, and Vav, ever shall be, Hey, world without end. This is the exact same formula as the God name Yod He Vav He. It's a salutation to the Tetragrammaton. So let's look once more at the judgment seat. Did everyone get that? Okay. Here's our key for the week. We have superconscious above. We have our subconscious receiving the gifts. The divine child rising up. And the self-conscious, as Margot said, is being more receptive. Yes, receptive. Okay, now let's look at this. You see? Always remember, all of this is within you. This all occurs within you. You are in truth the light of the world. See where the Christ child is holding their hand and pointing? And here the Christ child is facing you. We see the superconscious above as the Father and the Trinity. The triangle is also the tattva of fire and the law. right? It's the law. Now, we've spoken briefly in these classes regarding the tattvas. They are all throughout the tarot in the Western tradition. So let's look at this. This is the double tattva. It's called Earth of Fire. And in the Western and global tradition, this is a key designated to the heart chakra. I want you to notice that the triangle is the law and the square is manifestation. Okay? So, knowing this is the law and manifestation and the key of the heart chakra, let's read a little Jeremiah 31:33. This shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts. And I will be their God, and they shall be my people. In our first class on the cube of space, we discussed the prime directive in the Western tradition is simply know thyself. So we will end where we began with our prime directive. Know thyself. Remember, we always see what we look at, not what we look for. Visualize and see the sun within your heart of hearts. Look until you see. Listen to it always to guide you in all your ways. You are the light of the world. Thank you all for your participation in light. It is an honor to have you all on this journey. This concludes our series on the cube of space, stone of the wise, the alchemical Cabala. The floor is now open for any questions or comments.